If you're watching, we're getting set up right now on Facebook and Zoom as simulcast. If you ever want to join us on this simulcast and be in the Zoom call, you can go to terribritt.com/leaders. So we're going to get going in just 1 second. Okay. So here we go. We're going to get going in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and hit the record button and let people start streaming. Hey everyone, I'm Terri Britt, and welcome to our Own Your Worth Wednesdays and our Women Leaders of Love group. I'm so glad you are here. Today we are talking about peace. Now, we need peace on the planet, right? We really need peace on the planet. So we're going to be talking about this today and why we don't have it, because really, in reality, for us to have peace on the planet, we have to have peace within ourselves. It starts with each of us as individuals. So we're going to talk about that in this Own Your Worth Wednesday. And we're going to give you some ideas on why you don't have peace right now and how you can start shifting it, because it's so important, especially as women leaders of love. It is so important for us to say yes to peace. So we're going to let a few people jump in here. I'm seeing people pouring in right now, and we're going to give them another second. So I want you to think, as we're getting in this space of really ready to jump in here and talk about peace, where are you in your life? Do you feel really peaceful? Or do you find yourself in emotional chaos? Do you find yourself racing? Do you find yourself balanced? What is it that is going on in your life? So I want you to just kind of think about that in this moment as people are pouring in. Think about, how is my life? Am I really in a state of peace? Am I just convincing myself that I'm in a state of peace? Because sometimes we try to convince ourselves that we're a certain way, but when we get really honest, it's different. Or maybe you are, and if you are, that's amazing. We want you to be in that state of peace. And then when we open up for questions later, you can even comment if you want to add about how you got into a state of peace. So as you're thinking about this, I want you to just connect within and say, what is going on inside of me? Am I in a state of peace? And if I'm not, I want you to just kind of start paying attention right now, doing some digging. And you can even look at your inner child and take a moment and just say, what's this about? What is going on inside of you? Because remember, in our last week's conversation, we talked about compassion. And so often we don't have peace because we don't have compassion, and that's a part of it, but we're going to go even deeper in this conversation today. So before we get started, I want us to take a moment and just close our eyes, and let's just call in the light of God, the light of love, the light of abundance to flood in right now, and the light of peace. So I want you to imagine that you're opening up the crown of your head and the light of peace is flooding in. Just give yourself a moment to be in this space and to say yes to it. Allow that energy to flood in all the way through your face, down your neck, into your shoulders, down your arms, and just let everything that you're holding onto go out your hands, the palms of your hands and your fingertips. Breathing into this. Now allow this light to move from your shoulders down into your chest, all the way down into your ribs. And breathing into this, down into your belly and your hips, letting that light flood into your legs and out your feet. And just imagine you're so full now of getting grounded in this beautiful, peaceful, abundant light that it's washing everything around you, your whole energy field around you, your aura. Allow everything to wash, anybody's energy, anything you're thinking about, anything that's going on in your life, just let it drain off right now so you can be fully present. Let all that energy pour down. Breathing into this. Okay, cool. Now you can come back here and let's talk about this. So that little grounding exercise, hopefully from the beginning to the end, you started feeling a little bit of peace. Now you're probably saying, why did I feel peace? Because you were breathing, you were getting present, you were open, and you were receptive, right? I mean, think about it. You were all of those things. Hopefully you were. Maybe your mind was in other places. But when you take a moment and you create that connection and you get grounded and you get present and you start surrendering and you're open and you're receptive, that's when you're in a state of peace. So you have to ask yourself, why am I not in that state of peace more often? Right? That's what we're trying to do as women leaders of love. Well, the reason we aren't in that state of peace is because we aren't in trust. We aren't trusting that we're enough, that the universe has our back, that the whatever your belief is, whether God, the angels, whatever it is, whether God's got our back, we're not trusting. I mean, there are a lot of people I know who say they have a faith, but yet they don't really trust. And so they aren't at peace. I mean, how many of us know someone like that? Or maybe it's us, right? So you have to say, well, why am I not trusting? Okay, because trust equals peace. And then what equals trust? So how do we get to trust? Well, the way you get to trust is by owning your worth. See, when you are owning your worth, when you're really standing in your truth, then you get out of emotional chaos. So the emotional chaos is created from the beliefs that we have in our conscious mind and our subconscious mind that tell us, oh, this is the way you should be, or this is what you have to do. And so what we're doing is actually we're still performing. We're still trying to be good. We're playing by those good girl rules, right? Well, that puts us in a state of chaos. Those beliefs, that emotional crap puts us in chaos because we're not trusting that we're enough. We're not owning our worth. So where I want to dive into this today is what's got you in a state right now that is not peaceful. Okay, what is it? I asked you as we started opening up and having this conversation to think about your life. So where are you not peaceful right now? Can you think about it? I know for me, I'm in a really good state right now. I'm in a really peaceful state. When I go out of my peaceful state, I've kind of learned over the years, I've been doing this 20 something years, is when I go out of my state of peace, it is really because I am judging myself in some way. I'm judging myself about how I think I should be or how I need to be. Used to, I would go into a state of peace or in a state of chaos and lose my peace when I question myself about something that I said, or I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done it differently. Can anybody relate? Yeah. But those are all the good girl rules. Okay. Those are all the rules about how you think you should be, which is keeping you out of alignment, which is keeping you disconnected from God, from your truth. And then you continue to perpetuate it because as you get in that emotional chaos, now you're shut down, you're in fear mode, you're in a contracted state, and you can't receive any nurturing and support because you're not open to receive it. So we have to get into this mindset about what can I do right now to shift from emotional chaos and crap in my mind to peace. And I just want to give you some simple steps today so that you can start implementing it. And they're very similar to owning your worth, but I just want to give you some simple steps that you can use today. That if something comes up for you and you go, oh, I'm really not in a state of peace, I want you to come back to this place. Okay. These are some simple steps. So when you recognize it and you say, oh my gosh, I'm really in fear, I'm in anger, I'm in judgment, I'm in lack, I'm in blame, I'm in depression, I'm in hopelessness. Those are all signs, right? So those are all telling you that you're not in a state of peace. So you recognize those feelings as your gifts. Okay, those are God's greatest messengers because they're saying, hello, you're out of alignment, something's wrong here. So one of the things that you can do is recognize that that little kid inside of you is hurting. Last week we talked about compassion, but this is when you utilize that tool and pick her up and say, what's hurting? I love you. How can I support you right now? Just by creating that connection, all of a sudden it's going to start dissipating because you're getting present you're getting present, you're treating yourself as if you matter. That little kid inside of you no longer feels alone because you're connecting to her, right? So that right there can help you start shifting from chaos to peace. And then, of course, you can ask her, what's causing your pain and suffering? What is the belief that you're holding on to? Because it's our beliefs that are not true, usually the good girl rules of some kind of belief about who we are or how we're supposed to be or what's wrong with us, that keep us in that mindset of chaos and always trying to perform for love. So we always want to get to the belief, but the first step you can do is just by picking her up and saying, I love you. I really want to support you. And I understand that you're feeling emotional right now. So just acknowledgement of your feelings, just giving voice to them can bring you into a state of peace. Now, one of the things that I love to do is when I'm feeling emotional angst or anything other than peace, is I love to write about it, because sometimes just getting it out of your head and onto the paper is another form of acknowledgement, saying, oh, I am in emotional chaos. And let me tell you, just the acknowledgement and the awareness is like 95% of the game, because it's when we're not aware and we're living on this day-to-day basis and we're in this state of emotional chaos that our life really goes into a downward spiral. But when we are in awareness and we're recognizing that I am in chaos and I'm sad or depressed, I'm not in a state of peace, and we let that awareness take us and acknowledge those feelings, just the acknowledgement is huge. That's huge. So doing that little step is a great way to start bringing you back to present, to getting in this space of connectedness to yourself, because real peace comes when you're connected, when you are feeling connected within, and when you're feeling connected to God, to the universe, to the angels, whatever it is that works for you. So it is when we're in that disconnect that we don't feel peaceful. So anything that we can do to create a connection is huge, is absolutely huge. So I want you to just take a moment and think about right now, what could you do? What would ring true for you? Or maybe you've had something in the past that where you were in a state of emotional chaos and you somehow found a way back to peace. So I want you to just take a moment, and if you have pen and paper, if you have anything that you can write down, if you've got your computer in front of you, even your phone, write it down, what you remember that got you back to center. Was it just going out in nature and breathing and saying, okay, I surrender. I'm connecting to nature. Is that what brought you back to peace? Was it picking up a book and saying, God, what do you want me to see? And then allowing the book to fall open and get a message? That brings me back to peace. I love that. That's like being on an adventure. Was it just talking to a friend? Sometimes, again, giving voice to our thoughts and our feelings and our pain is by giving a voice to a friend, it can bring us back to peace. But here's the key on that. Oftentimes when we do that with our friends, it can become a blame game, right? Well, this person did this person did that, and da 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 da. And so there's no peace. It's just more emotional chaos and going down that rabbit hole. I have a dear, dear friend. Her name is Barb, and we have been best friends for almost 30 years. I met her in Tahiti when I was pregnant. She lives in Canada. And one of the things that we've done over the years is we can start venting and sharing, but our first attitude is of gratitude. Like, I'm really angry about this, and I know there's a gift here. I know there's something that I'm being shown, because remember, if we react to anything, if we are in judgment, it means we're out of alignment. So it's showing up for you, not to you, so you can start connecting and really healing your mind so that you get into that space of peace. So when we first got together, my friend and I, we bonded on bashing our husband's ex-wives. It was really peaceful. But then as I got on my spiritual journey, she came with me, and it became a conversation of how can, what can I learn from this? What is the gift? What is the message that's being presented here? And through that conversation, no longer was it moving into a state of emotional chaos. By venting and sharing and coming from a space of gratitude, even though whatever was going on might have been really painful, but by coming from that space of gratitude and seeing it as a gift to take me deeper into owning my worth and loving myself, then those conversations became an opportunity to really heal and to move into peace. So I've been asking you to kind of reflect on your life right now. So when you think about this, when you think about your life and when you're talking to your friends or maybe your partner or maybe a parent or a child, somebody that that you can talk to and really share your feelings, maybe it's an adult child, do you go into the blame game or do you go into a state of gratitude? Get really honest with yourself right now, okay? Because this is key. If you go into the blame game, you will not find peace. But if you go into a state of gratitude, knowing that whatever's happening is happening for you, not to you, then you'll see it as a gift and you'll look at it as an opportunity to go within and love yourself deeper, recognizing that our outer world is a mirror to our inner world, right? And our thoughts create feelings, our feelings emit a vibration. And if we are holding a belief that's not our truth, we're going to emit a lower vibration, and then stuff's going to show up, crap's going to show up. Maybe a relationship isn't working. Maybe something's not working at your office if you're in a career. Those things are gifts. Those things are gifts to help you see that you are not honoring who you are, that you are not in alignment, that you're not loving yourself, and you're not owning your worth. So by seeing it that way, you begin to embrace every day. And here's what's so cool about it. No matter what shows up as you start taking this attitude of gratitude about what's happening in your life, the crap can hit the fan, but you are going to find peace in it. You're going to find peace. One of the things that I've done with my kids over the years, when something would happen and I would say, well, what's the gift? We would always turn it around to say, how will you serve in the future with this? When something really bad is happening and you're in that emotional chaos and you can't find that peace, and then you start saying, what's the gift in this? How do I love myself deeper? It's so cool when you say, okay, how can I flip this so that the next time I meet someone who is in the same situation, I can serve them so that they might find peace. So now these daily situations that are taking you out of peace not only are gifts and opportunities to go deeper, but they're also opportunities to serve. That's pretty cool, huh? So what happens is that if we start seeing our world like this and we start using these little tools to move into peace, we move out of victim mentality and we shift into empowerment ourselves. So have you been a victim and blaming, and this is keeping you in that emotional chaos? Or have you been saying to yourself, I know there's a gift here. I know there's a gift. And just by going into that space, have you felt a little bit more peace? It's really interesting when we start getting honest with ourselves, right? Because our world is very much in a victim mindset. I mean, what we see in our culture, especially right now with all the division, it's very much a victim mentality. They're doing this to me, you're doing that to me. It's victim, 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 victim. And so if we can come into the space of an empowerment mindset of gratitude and saying, yeah, this is happening for me to own my worth even more, whew, it shifts everything. Now that person who just ticked you off on the street, you're no longer going, I want to come over there and smack you upside the head. Instead, you're going, wow, thank you for playing your part. Thank you for playing your part. Thank you for showing me myself. That's a whole different ball game, isn't it? It's like all the walls come down. So I want to take you into this little mini meditation, and we're going to look at yourself, where you're not at peace, and we're going to shift some of the energy around it so that hopefully today you can walk from this conversation and say, okay, I have some tools. I know that I can always talk to my inner child and ask her what's hurting, because that's going to bring you to being present. I can surrender and move into a state of connectedness with God and the universe and the angels and whoever you talk to. These are things that bring you to peace. But the biggest thing is by not letting your outer world mess with your mindset. Okay. No longer performing, no longer trying to be something you're not, but letting yourself come back to center. And in that connection is where you find the peace. So let's do this. Let's do a little mini meditation. So if you're ready, I want to invite you to close your eyes. Let's take a breath and release. Take another deep breath and release. So as you sit in this space and you're open and receptive, you're in a state of surrender. You're coming into this space of peace right now, but you're recognizing that there are places in your life that you're not at peace. And I want you to get honest, as I said, with yourself. Have you been in victim mentality with this situation, or have you been in empowerment mentality, asking for the gift to be revealed? So right now we're going to go into the gift. We're going to go into the empowerment mentality, knowing that it's helping you own your worth. So as you sit in this space and you're thinking about this situation, and I want you to feel it, how it makes you feel. And I want you to call in your inner child, that little kid inside of you. Call her up on your lap. If there are boys here, men here, you can call in that little boy. Bring that child up on your lap. Breathing into this. And ask her, what is causing you? What is hurting inside of you that's taking you out of peace? Is there a fear? And just have a conversation with her for a moment. We're trying to get to the bottom, to the original place that's causing you to move out of peace, and see what she says. And just so you know, for those of you who might have a conversation through hearing, you might have a knowingness, you might have a sensation, you might see pictures. So be the detective. And if you start grasping, remember to breathe, open up your crown. In that state of gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you, God, for this opportunity to heal. What is the belief? What is the fear? What is it that this kid is holding on to that's taking you away from peace? When you get to that belief or that fear, I want you just to imagine that there's a big giant rose in front of you, and we're going to put that energy into the rose. And we're going to imagine all the energy, anything in your mind, anything in the cells of your body, we're moving it into the rose. Because if it's causing you pain and suffering, it's not peace. I mean, it's not the truth. So that's what's going to take you out of alignment and cause you the emotional chaos. So bring that into the rose. And then let's take that rose and send it out into the universe, blowing it up like confetti. We're sending it back with love. And now ask that little kid inside of you, what is it that you need from me to help you move into peace? What is it that I can do for you? What is it that you're yearning for from me? Maybe she just needs to be held. Maybe she needs to be told it's okay, right? And then come back into looking at her and see yourself as doing whatever it is. Okay, just imagine holding her and feeling that feeling and feeling the sense of peace, even the sense of peace as you're moving some of the energy out and you're releasing, that you're coming back to this space and you're just saying, yeah, yeah, I get what you need. And you can feel the truth in it, right? You can feel the truth. There may be some fear around it, and that's okay. Maybe it's something different than what you've been doing. Just know that's the truth. That's where the peace is. And boy, where there's peace and there's trust, that's when the world really shows up. The abundance shows up. Breathing into this, feeling that energy. Ask her if there's anything else she wants you to know. And if you hear something or see something in your mind or you feel it and you don't understand it, ask another question. Well, can you go deeper with this? Can you give me more specifics? Breathing into this. Feeling as if whatever she needs, whatever it is that she needs to release or do, that she needs you to do, that it is done, and you are in a state of peace. I want you to feel that feeling, breathing into it. Knowing that at any moment you can always choose peace. Breathing into this. And when you're ready, you can come back into the space. The whole idea of this conversation that we're doing weekly on your Own Your Worth Wednesdays is so that we can we can create peace within ourselves and be in a state that is present and centered. Because what's so cool about this, when you commit to this, is that's when you start getting really powerful intuitive guidance and you get off that hamster wheel, because with every little step you take to love yourself this way and to move into this connectedness, you start slowing down. You start recognizing that by getting that connection, you're getting intuitive guidance. And then when you take action with it, because you're in this present state, you're in a peaceful state, you've surrendered because you feel worthy. In this place, you feel this information that comes in. And now, because you're in this state, you can start moving into inspired action. And that's when life becomes a peaceful flow. So it starts with taking these daily situations and creating peace, and then allowing that to build so that you get so connected and so peaceful and are so receptive and feeling worthy and are open, that you daily get the guidance and take action. Daily get the guidance and take action. And so now life is balanced. Okay, we're all craving balance. Our world is so out of balance because everybody's taking masculine warrior action, and we need to be going within, which is, think of it as the divine feminine, getting that information and then taking action in the divine masculine. It's the yin and the yang. So when you do this daily path of really creating a connection, when you are using every opportunity to look inside yourself, to create peace, to be in that state of gratitude, when you're nurturing that little kid inside of you and helping her feel that she's not alone and that she is loved, so she can move into that state of peace and move out of emotional chaos. When you do all of these things, especially when you let go of those beliefs, all of that crappy stuff that's in your subconscious mind that you don't even know is there, that's when you truly feel empowered. You truly feel as if you're a woman leader of love. And let me tell you, people will come to you and say, I want what you have. I want to know what you're doing. I want what you have. So I invite you to do this daily, to make peace as a option that I get to choose daily. I can be in victim mentality or I can be in empowerment mentality, and I get to choose peace. So with that said, I want to open up for questions. I see somebody has said something in the chat. So Aline, I don't know if I'm saying that correct, says, I am both peace and not peace. So let me just say a quick technical note here. For those of you on Facebook, this is a simulcast with Zoom. And so those of you on Facebook, I'm not answering those questions right now. I will come back if you've got a question or a comment. I will come back after this broadcast. If you'd like to be on the live broadcast and get the invitation to the Zoom link, all you have to do is grab my Women Leaders of Love ebook, and it's got 3 meditations. It's called my Worthiness Quotient Breakthrough Bundle. And then once you grab that, you'll be invited to this Zoom call every week, because we don't want to just send it out to mass everybody. We want to send it to people who are really wanting to dive into this. So you can get that ebook at or the Worthiness Quotient Breakthrough Bundle at terribritt.com/leaders. So Aline says, I am both peace and not peace. Absolutely. Is kind of the same thing with our worthiness. So when we have areas of our life, maybe you have it, you have the confidence and the self-worth, and you're at peace with your work. Okay. Maybe it feels amazing. You're in the flow, you're trusting because you've owned your worth there. And then maybe at home, you have relationships, possibly with a partner, with your children or whatever, where there's not peace because you haven't owned your worth there. Maybe you're giving too much. Maybe you haven't set boundaries, or you're suppressing your voice thinking this is love. So you haven't owned your worth there. Okay. I'm just giving you some examples. So it is absolutely possible to have peace in some places and not have peace in others. So I hope that makes sense for you, Aline. And if you have some questions, so the way you raise your hand if you want to ask a question is if you move your cursor. If you're on your computer, you'll see at the bottom there's when you move your cursor, a little menu bar pops up, and it says there's a little face and it says reactions. If you click on that, it'll say raise your hand, and you can raise your hand and I will be able to call on you so we can talk and you can come on camera with me and have a conversation. And then I will ask you to unmute as well. If you're on your phone, you should have some kind of icon there that you can raise your hand and ask questions. So anybody? Nobody wants to raise their hand today? Let's see if anybody's raising their hand. I'll go through here really fast. So nobody's raising your hand. So let me just check in with myself and see if we want to call it a day on that, or if there's something else that I'm being guided to tell you. So I am being guided to give you a thought. And if somebody wants to share what they learned from that, if somebody wants to share what they just learned from the meditation, you can do that. If you have a question about it, if you have an aha you want to share, we always want to hear ahas. We have a man joining us. Thank you for being here, Stephen. So happy you're here. my friend. So when it comes to peace, it is part of our human nature to go in and out of peace. Okay. That is just part of it. The more we move into alignment with the way we were created, it's because we're embracing our humanness. We're clearing out the beliefs. We're saying yes to who we are, but we're really embracing our humanness. So this is where that compassion thing comes in that we talked about last week. When you are not in a state of peace, just recognize this is what it means to be human. Okay. I remember when I was writing my first book, Message Sent, I had this aha because I thought, oh, being a spiritual person, that I would be walking through the fields with my fingers in the Om position, which I don't even do that practice. But at that time I was like, and that was going to bring me peace. But in reality, that wasn't the truth, because you have to be willing to embrace your humanness. Okay, this is acceptance. This is acceptance of, oh, I have emotional chaos. Oh, I am feeling this way. And just by recognizing it and saying, I honor my humanness, then what happens is that it starts to dissipate, because as you're walking this path and you're trying to become this woman leader of love, or you are being a woman leader of love, and you're owning your worth, and we find ourselves going into that space, there is a tendency to start judging ourselves. Okay, there is a tendency to say, well, I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you've been doing spiritual work for years and you're having these moments still. There's a chance that you are still in this space because you're judging your humanness. So I really want to invite you to stop judging your humanness. That was probably one of the biggest wins for me, is when I said, oh, this is just life. This is okay that I feel yucky. And let me tell you, by taking the judgment off, the guilt dissipated, the shame dissipated. It was like, boom, there was peace. It was so cool. So Holly says, I'm only seeing thumbs up and clap on reactions. So, okay, good, Daniela. So I don't know, Holly, if you are seeing the thumbs up. So when I look at my computer, and I can just open you up, Holly. So let me just open you up if you're wanting to ask a question. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Holly, is unmute yourself. You'll see a little microphone. Do you see that?
Hey, Terri.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know why it's not doing that, but I'm glad you sent me a message. So anytime, you guys, if you feel like I can't figure out where my hands up thing is, send me a direct message. I'm seeing it in the chat, and I'll be happy to unmute you. So
I can figure they know how to work this stuff better than me. So hi, thank you.
Hi.
You're amazing. I think you're great. One thing that comes up for me, and I've noticed it's been coming up recently, is what came up is just not being understood. I feel like I'm misunderstood a lot, and that comes up like whether I'm saying something or it's being heard, and I just get really, and it's been, I guess, since I'm a child, that I just feel very misunderstood.
Okay.
And
So
craving to be, it just kept coming up that when I was talking to my child, that I had this craving to just, for people to understand me.
okay. And what are you wanting them to understand? Is there anything specifically?
I feel like a lot of times it's my intentions get misunderstood, or my people just, yeah, I'm trying to pinpoint it more, where I find people get frustrated with me, or I don't know what it is, or and it's not exactly how I'm intending things. So I'm like, is it me? Is it, the people I'm dealing with? Is it I'm not really sure, but I'm finding that theme coming up recently.
So it's interesting, when I'm looking at your energy, I see tape across your mouth. Okay. So it feels like, maybe as a child, that there was this thing that I can't really talk. I can't really say what I'm feeling. And so, or if I do, that, that it's going to be wrong. Okay. There's this energy there. So what my sense is with you is, if you take the tape off, there's guilt. So I take the tape off of you and I see this. Remember the Green Mile? Did you ever see that movie with the Green Mile about the guy who was accused of killing this little girl and he didn't, and he was put in jail, and it was with Tom Hanks, and all of a sudden these things come flying out of his mouth when he was a healer. It was a great movie if you've never seen it.
I feel like it was so weird. I had this dream last night where like these cops were looking for me and I had done something wrong. And my mom is there and she was like telling untruths. And I was like, that's not what happened. And they were ready. That's so weird that you even say that.
So listen to this, what you just said. So your dreams, you guys, oh my gosh, dreams. It's like when you dream like that, there's so much symbolism. So the cops are the authority. So you think of as you're putting too much power in the authority of other people, okay? And your mom is how you nurture yourself. She's usually the mirror to, am I being nurturing and mothering to myself? But she was telling you said to stop talking or saying stuff. Is that what she said? Is that what you said?
She was telling untruths to the cops of what happened, and that's not what happened.
Okay, so look at the keys here. Don't you love how spirit works?
I don't have dreams like that normally. That's so weird.
I love this.
Like I woke up by the smoke alarm and it was like one of those weird deep dreams when you go back.
I was like, oh, it's so cool. So I love this. So when you're talking about the untruth, so think about this. I want you to look at your inner child right now. You can close your eyes, you can do whatever, but just visualize your inner child. And I want you to ask her, are you taping your mouth because you were accused of untruths? How is this tied in to this feeling of not being understood? And just see what you get. There's no right or wrong answer. Just see what you get.
I think because I've always been such a strong, like, you talk about that strong warrior personality. When I do speak my truths, it gets taken the wrong way. So it's just easier to say nothing. And I just,
wow. So in reality, it sounds like you're cutting off your wisdom. Okay, think about this. So you've probably been a wise little cookie for your whole life. Would you say that's true?
Probably, yeah.
And you've probably been speaking truth for most of your life, right? To people, maybe, and they don't get it, right? What I'm seeing is a wall between you and them. It's because it's almost like if I speak truth, how are they going to respond? So it's almost like that it comes out, they're hearing it warbled because in reality, there's a part of you that judges you speaking the truth. And so you're saying, okay, let me explain energy. So if you're sitting on the fence, right, about something, so you're speaking truth, but you're not really sure if you want people to hear what you're saying because it's scary, because it's different than them. Okay, so just go with me here. Then it may come out warbled to them. So the key is for you to get really clear that it is okay for you to speak your truth. It is not only okay, it is imperative because you're a wise woman. What I see is you're getting information. Have you ever felt that way, that you were getting wisdom that was pouring into you? Ooh, I got chills. So what I get is you have wisdom coming in, and I can really relate to what you're saying. When I was a kid, my mother said I became the mother at the age of 7, but yet she would battle me because I had a lot of wisdom like you flooding in, but then I was told I was wrong. Okay. So, and I was told to be different. So I would find myself suppress, and then I would explode. So for you, it's like it's almost like there's this frustration that you have going on inside of you, this battle going in of, I want to be able to speak this truth. But then there's this sense of, well, what happens? Because, I'm different. You're different. Most people don't have that kind of wisdom coming through. Okay. So then because of that frustration inside of you, that's what's being mirrored back to you. So what my sense is that let go of your frustration. I think it would be really good for you. I don't know if you ever journal, but I would really start letting the wisdom come through and writing and writing and writing and writing, and then go back and read what you've written and go, wow, that came through me. Okay. Because you're letting other people determine how much you share your wisdom because of that frustration, but they're just mirroring your own inner block, right? So if everything's a mirror, they're mirroring your own inner block. So you've got to realize, okay, so I've got to alleviate my frustration. And so how do I do that? I need to recognize how wise I am. Is that making sense?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So your outer world is a mirror to your inner world. If you have frustration, then frustration is going to be mirrored back to you. If you have judgment on having a voice, then people are going to judge you for having a voice. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your goal here is to go in and clean that crap up. And what I'm seeing is the best thing for you to do is to start writing what you know to be truth. And then just let it come through. You're just like, what do I know to be truth? And just write and write and write and write and write. And then go back and read it. I want you to recognize the wisdom. And what would be really good for you too is to start creating a mantra, like I am divine wisdom. Like for me, I have a mantra. I am divine light. I am divine love. I'm divine wisdom. I'm divine creativity. And I've been saying that for years. Okay. That for me, talk about going back to center and finding peace. I can be in emotional chaos and say that, and I'll just go right back to center because I'm speaking truth, right? Because we're all that. So for you, just your goal is to start recognizing your wisdom, recognizing that you were given a voice and you're being asked to use it, so that now then the people around you can mirror this acceptance from you. Okay. So if you have judgment, judgment's going to be mirrored. If you have acceptance, acceptance will be mirrored. Make
Right.
sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I still even hear today about how difficult I was, for my, so I think it's just, you were so difficult. Yeah. What's
You
that?
were wise. You were not difficult. You were wise. I had a belief that I was the black sheep. Okay. And you know that old saying, the black sheep, you're the one who causes all the problems. Like my sister was the sweet, really good one. And I played by the good girl rules, but I still had this part of me that was like, I'd fight it, And so one day I said, okay, what does the black sheep mean? And I had a big legal pad, and all of a sudden this message came through, and it was, you beat to your own drummer, you live by your beliefs. Da, 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 da. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to be. Right? I'm not conforming. I've been battling this sense of needing to conform versus being who I am because I didn't want to be labeled the black sheep. I'll take the black sheep label any day over being a conformist. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So in your own right, when they said you were difficult, you weren't being difficult. You were being wise. You weren't conforming. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you go back and listen to the replay on this.
I'm not on Facebook, so I got to figure out how.
No. If you're in the Zoom call, we send the replay out to you.
Okay.
It'll either be this afternoon or tomorrow morning. So you will have the replay. Okay.
Good. That's good.
So I want you to go back and listen to this, and I want you to just take it in, because when you were being difficult, you were trying to stand in your truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you were being this amazing spirit that your parents couldn't see it because they don't know how to be that. And now you've come here as a woman leader of love to break the cycle of your family so that now you can be that example of really owning your wisdom, owning your truth, owning that amazing information that comes to you, girl. Own it. Okay?
Yes.
I'd be taking that guilt, I'd be listening to it, it's like, whoo, and let that energy come out, right? Because I mean, you got a gift. So it's time to embrace it.
Thank you.
Does that make you feel better? Does that ring true?
Yes, it does. I'm still like not fully hearing it all. If that, I still feel timid on the judgment that comes with it and the fear of
Right. And that's why you need to do the exercise.
Okay.
So when you do the exercise and you write about what I know is truth, and just start writing your thoughts and feelings and putting them on paper. And it, this might go on for a while. It could be days, it could be a month or whatever. And just then go back and read it. And
Okay.
sometimes I'm journaling and I forget to go read it, and then I'll read it like a week later. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was really good. I surprised myself. So you're going to surprise yourself, girl. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you will, put yourself on mute, and let me see who has their hand up. So Reese has, so if you mute yourself with yeah, you did that. And so Reese, I'm going to ask you to unmute. And what you do is you'll see, Reese, if you don't know how to do it, let me see if I can do it for you. There should be a little microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. You click on it and it takes the red bar off of it, but I can probably, let me see if I can do it for you. No, it's not letting me do it. You're going to have to do it. So where is Reese? Oh, there's Reese. So Reese, do you know, can you hear me where I'm saying you have to unmute yourself for me to be able to talk to you? So there is, when you look at your screen on the bottom, there'll be probably a little camera and a microphone, and the microphone has a red slash through it. If you can click on that, it'll take the red slash off. Let's see if I can do this. I can see you, but you're not doing it. Are you doing it? You're not doing it. Because it won't let me unmute you. Let me see. It's making me, let me see if it will. No, I don't know if she realizes that she's got her hand raised on this. So I'm going to lower your hand since you're not unmuting. Do you see where I'm talking about, Reese? I can see her. There's a little icon on the bottom. It should be on the bottom left of your screen. If you move your cursor, there's a little microphone will pop up, and it has a red line through it. If you click on it, it's going to open your mic up. Okay, I'm hearing somebody. Is that you, Holly? No, you're muted.
Is this me?
Yay!
It's not Reese.
Well, that's what it says on here, Reese.
That's so weird. That's why I was not like, and then I got a message that said the host would like to unmute, and I'm like, well, that's weird because I'm not Reese, I'm Dawn. So I didn't think you were talking to me the whole time.
No, so it says Reese, R-E-E-S-E.
Oh, that's so weird. What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe when you sign in next time, make sure it's your name. You can probably change your name. I am not a tech user, so.
Yeah, because I actually was on Facebook, and then when you started to do the Zoom call with Holly, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get in on this with her. So
okay, good, yay. Well, I'm glad you're here, Dawn.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, you're phenomenal. And I love your energy, and I love your wisdom and your insights. It's great. And I actually saw a lot of similarities to what Holly was saying, which is why I was like, oh my gosh, our younger child, or our little selves are trying to say the same thing almost. And I just wanted to get in with you a little bit on this if I could.
Sure.
I actually have a little bit of a hard time doing that inner child. I don't know what it is. Like, I'll do it, and I can visualize putting her on my lap and stroking her. And she said to me something like, because I'm thinking of when you said, visualize what you're not having peace about in your life. And I've done so much inner growth work, Terry, over the last 3 or 4 years. And I feel like I've actually found my voice, but my biggest challenge is still with my mom. And I've done a lot with her. And this was the situation that I was referring back to that just happened on Sunday. So I was trying to think, okay, what is this little girl trying to say? And I feel like she was saying, you're getting judged again. You're not good enough again. She's not liking what you're saying. But when you made the comment and you said, your wisdom is being judged, that really rang true for me, because I thought, and then when you also said, is there guilt because of it? Like when you saw tape over Holly's mouth, was something about that I was like, yes, I feel like because I'm speaking up for myself finally and not being so conforming with her. And even when I said the words to my mom the other night, and I said, well, if I don't agree with you, Mom, then I'm wrong. And she said, we're not going there. That is the biggest trigger for her when I say that. But that's how I felt always, is that everything goes great with my mom if I agree with her and I have her opinions on things and I don't push against her at all and come up with my own thoughts. And that's what happened that night, Sunday. And she did what she usually does, which is guilt trip me. And I said, so now you're trying to guilt me into this decision. And she started to cry and say, it all was over the vaccination. It was all over the vaccination, how everybody in the family has gotten it. And I said that I did not feel that it was true for me. And I said, no, I prayed to God about it. I have peace about it. And she threw on me and said, I don't want to be staring down at your coffin. How dare you leave your little girl in the lurch who's 10? Basically, she said, how dare you do this to her? And it was, as much as I've done so much work, it triggered so much for me that it was that same way that I dealt with so much on changing the patterns in parenting with my daughter that my mom didn't do with me. And I didn't lose you. Okay. And I don't know if it just triggered something there when she was saying, how dare you do this to her? And I thought, what are you trying to make me feel like I'm not a good parent? Like, I've done so much work on this. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a trigger for me that I was trying to get myself back at peace, but I know that was the situation I was trying to go to my inner child for. Like, what more was she trying to tell me? Why couldn't I have peace there? And I felt like she was saying, honestly, like Holly was saying, you're not being understood. You're being judged for not thinking the way your mom thinks. Then, like, you're not good enough in her eyes, like you're like, I didn't feel like I'd be losing love from her.
You just get judgment.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I'd be losing love from her, but there's something there. I don't know if it is what you're saying before, like the guilt, like there's guilt in the fact that I am standing up to her, and it's not standing up to her, it's being true to me. Right. It's having my own thoughts and being okay with my own thoughts. And I can conceptually get that it's going to bother her because it's definitely rocking the boat. It's not something that anyone in the family does with her at all.
Well, they're all dependents. They're all dysfunctional and codependent, and you're choosing to break codependency. It's so interesting. This is not about you. This is about your mom. Your mom, I was getting real strong flashes of her, is that she has a belief that you have to be the same or else she's not loved. So you're actually, when she responds to you that way, you're triggering her pain.
Okay.
If you think about everything we talk about, seeing it as a gift and embracing it. And, if she were seeing you as a gift, she would be saying, wow, I need to really look at myself and see what's being triggered here. But she doesn't have those tools, right?
Right.
So she makes you the bad guy. Right?
Right.
And so what you've got to get to a place of going is seeing your mother as a wounded child. So instead of, like when you have that moment, you pick up little Dawn and you say, wow, I can see you're triggered, but this is not about you. This is about her woundedness. So how about we just send her a pink blanket of love? I love this exercise, is to take a pink blanket of love in your mind and wrap it around her so that she feels loved and supported, because it is her disconnect within herself that is causing her to react to you. She's, if in her mindset that if you're like her, like you said, then she feels loved because she doesn't feel the love otherwise.
Right. That makes sense.
Right? If she had a connection with her inner child, and there was that sense of, if she looked at her inner child and she says, oh man, it really scares me that my daughter's not getting the vaccine. And she said, yeah, because I don't want to lose her love. I don't want to lose her. So see, it's really about her. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we learn, so what's so cool about this, and we talk about peace today, is that when you start implementing these tools for yourself and seeing everything from this perspective of being the divine parent to your inner child, then you start recognizing when other people are not being the divine parent to their inner child, when they're not connected, when they are seeking love outside of themselves. So instead of being triggered by it, you can just have compassion for it. It doesn't mean you fix it for them. Okay, it's not your job to fix it. You might even say, Mom, I'm really sorry that you're afraid of losing me. And that would be the last thing I want to do. But I have to listen to the guidance that's in my heart. And I'm going to honor this just like I would want you to honor it for you, if that's what you feel you need to do. So
I wish I would have said it that beautifully, Terri.
It's always easier when you're the neutral one, okay?
That's
because
right.
I have my moments. I have moments when I don't say it so well. And but you see what I'm saying? It's like
I totally do.
It's seeing with the eyes of God. It's seeing with the eyes of love, that I'm loving myself, but I'm taking her pain and making it my own. Okay? It's not my pain. The greatest gift I can give back to her is, I see you're really worried, and I'm sorry, and I love you. I think it's that little girl inside of you who doesn't want to lose my love. And Mama, I love you, and I appreciate you loving me so much, but I have to listen to the guidance and to what God's telling me what's right for me. And I hope you can honor that, because I honor you for your choice.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. And that's going to help me with the next discussion that I know is down the road, but it's not there yet, but that's going to help me for that one.
Good.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, I hope so, because I tell you, it's so easy when other people want to project their pain on you. And if we were raised to be good and we were raised to take care of everybody, we just go, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then we feel bad, and we feel like, well, why do I feel bad? Well, one of the reasons you're feeling bad is because that little girl inside of you is like, well, I'm taking this. And that's when you say to her, no, we're not taking this. We're going to just send this energy back to her with love and say, this is yours, not mine. It's yours.
Yeah, because that's such a good point, because it started to make me question my authenticity, really, that I was like, but this, like, I know that this is the right path for me, and then it started to, then I started to doubt, did I really hear from God that I shouldn't get this? Like, she's making me question this, like, no, Dawn, this is, your path, and you felt at complete peace with this, and don't allow this interaction to change that. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that even the pandemic, the vaccines, it's bringing everything to the surface for us to stand in our truth. It's not about whether you get a vaccine or don't get a vaccine. It's about stand in your truth, right? Because if you're standing in your truth, your vibration is high. And that's the greatest protection that you can have, is when you're in a high vibration. Right. And so for me, now I was just the opposite. I was not going to get the vaccine. And then I asked, I need a big sign. I need a big sign that I'm going to get this, because I didn't want to put it in my body. I went to visit some family in Arkansas when everything started, like back in the spring. I flew home and started puking, and had about 5 days of puking. And all I could think about was, oh my gosh, what if I have COVID? And what if because I was going back to see an uncle who was just given 2 months to live, who passed away today. And or last night. And so I wanted to see him, right? And then all I could think of was, oh my gosh. And then it was like, wait. Okay, I asked for a sign, get out of the guilt. I asked for a sign. For me, it's the right thing to do. And so I did. But you know what? If it's not right for you, you have to decide what's right for you. I really believe it's based in the vibration of, are we doing it because it's right for us?
Right.
And there may be a lot of people who argue with me on that, but I feel like if you're in a vibration of, not because you don't want to be told what to do, but because this is what is true for me, there's a very different vibration, right? If you're resistant, like, I don't want to be told what to do, and that's a low vibration. But if you're coming from the space of, this is what's true for me, you're coming from vibration.
And that's true. But she said to me, I pray for you every day that you will get this vaccination and that you won't get COVID. And, you know, I it was strange because I had just described to her a miracle that had happened earlier that week, like a really phenomenal miracle. And she was bringing that into the conversation, but I didn't quite understand why. Like she said, well, you just talked about this miracle. And I said, I don't understand what you're saying, Mom. Like you're bringing this in like, oh, because I got it. Like she made it sound like, well, because God gave you this miracle, that should be a sign that you should be doing this then. No, no.
Yeah,
I,
she doesn't want to lose you. That's all.
yeah,
Because then it triggers her aloneness. And
it makes a lot of sense.
and that's why you need to conform. That's why she wants you to conform, is because she doesn't want to be alone. And that's the little girl inside of her. Her adult, there is no woman leader of love in her life. The adult has left the room, and the little child is running the show in her fear and her suffering. And so when she throws that stuff at you, if her adult would come into the room and say, you know what, I love you, let's talk about this, between her and her inner child, that inner child would no longer feel alone. She would feel connected. She would feel seen. She would feel heard. She would feel valued. And then she would no longer need to project on you. This is why we're doing the work we're doing as women leaders of love, right? So we can be this example, and then hopefully others will watch us and learn. Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully.
So does that help?
It's phenomenal. Thank you.
Okay,
very, 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 very much resonated. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I'm going to ask you to lower your hand, or I'll lower your hand. And if you can mute yourself, that would be great. So I just want to, there was one question that came up from Daniela. She says, would be great if you can say something to receive with ease. This is also what would bring peace. So we'll close this out with this thought. So receiving, meaning that we are not in a battle, we're not sabotaging ourselves, that things can flow to us, is because we're in a high worthiness quotient. Okay, we are open to receive, we are receptive. So this is why it's so important to start creating. She says it can bring peace. Yes, it's a cyclical thing. It's like, if I'm loving myself and I'm standing in my truth without guilt, without shame, and I'm in a high worthiness quotient, and I am opening up and surrendering because I trust that I'm enough, there's peace there. And as you receive, more peace comes, because now you really feel supported, right? So it's important for us that every moment that we love ourselves, and that we're being kind and gentle to ourselves, we're having compassion for ourselves, that we are actually putting ourselves in a receptive state. And in that receptive state, we surrender, and there's more peace. But it starts when we make the decision to choose peace. Then we do the practices daily to love ourselves, to clean out the crap that's keeping us in emotional chaos. So it's a cycle, just like it is a cycle that when we're in emotional chaos and we keep trying to prove our worth, that we stay at a low vibration, life feels hard. And so we work that much harder trying to prove our worth, right? So we got to get out of that cycle and into a cycle of empowerment, of loving ourselves, nurturing ourselves, and owning our worth, so that now we receive with grace and ease. And I hope, Daniela, that answers your question. So I want to say thank you all for being here. I am so grateful. As you know, we just started this group, and I want to invite you to share it with your friends. Think about how the world would shift if all of us were really taking a stand to be women leaders of love. How we're going to affect our families. Look at you, Dawn. Just by this conversation today, you're going to have a shift in how you interact with your mother. That in itself starts creating peace. Instead of meeting her here, you're going to meet her here with the eyes of God, the eyes of love, and know that she's wounded, that she's in pain and she's suffering. It doesn't mean that you have to take her crap, but you can meet her with love. You can meet her with compassion. That in itself starts bringing peace on the planet. So please share this with your friends, invite them to come join us, have them grab that Women Leaders of Love Worthiness Quotient Breakthrough Bundle at terribritt.com/leaders. And so they too can be a part of this conversation. Let me just say real thing. Eileen says, thank you. I appreciated last week's. I listened and journaled with left hand, been coaching my inner me. Yay! So whatever tools you can use. And if you guys ever want to go deeper, my Worthiness Quotient program is really intense. We have 18 meditations where we really go into the subconscious mind. You can check that out at terribritt.com/worthy. Okay. One last thing. Let's just close our eyes and say thank you. Thank you for the healing today. Thank you for the courageous people who spoke up and asked questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the energy in this space. And thank you for this beautiful, loving light that poured in today, the beautiful light of peace and joy and abundance that is flooding into each and every one of us. And we just thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just send so much love and gratitude to each of you. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye, everybody.